Cars come in all shapes and sizes. Some cars look like they were designed to be award winners. Other cars look like they were created by people who don't know what they're doing. Then some cars lie somewhere in between. Here are 10 most strangest and weirdest cars ever made. Number 10. 1990 Toyota Sera. It wasn't particularly powerful. It came with a tiny 1.5-liter inline 4-cylinder engine that produced 108 horsepower and 97 pound-feet of torque, nor was it an apple to anybody's eyes. Open its two doors, though, and that's where the fun starts. The Celine S7 and the McLaren F1, those are two of the fastest and most powerful cars of that decade, and the 108 horsepower Sera shared something with them. Toyota even took things to the next level, installing a glass, canopy-style roof on the Sera because, well, it probably thought it'd look cool with that setup. Number 9. 2004 Chevrolet SSR. The Chevrolet Supersport Roadster, SSR, is a retractable hardtop convertible pickup truck. Confused? You weren't the only one. Chevrolet produced the SSR between 2003 and 2006, and the recency of it all means that our scars haven't healed yet. The SSR was a bad idea from the very beginning, but with the sales success of retro-styled models, like the Chevrolet PT Cruiser, Chevrolet swung for the fences with its own retro-inspired model that owed its design heritage on a model from Chevrolet's advanced design pickup trucks that were sold in the 1940s. It didn't help that Chevrolet looked like a hodgepodge of different body types, thrown all together because that was the cool thing to do back then. Unfortunately for Chevy, the SSR never got off the ground. It lasted only 2 years in the market, in part because people were too weirded out by it. Number 8. 1984 Nissan Pulsar NX. The Nissan Pulsar NX is another car of the weird block, but, unlike the Chevrolet SSR, the Pulsar NX exudes the cool style of weird. Put the hatch back in place, and the Pulsar NX became a shooting brake model. The hatch itself serves no purpose other than what's mentioned, so you could say that Nissan pulled the vanity card in the design of the Pulsar NX because it wanted to. The idea that owners could change the look of the Pulsar NX depending on their mood wasn't lost on anyone. The Pulsar NX enjoyed a lot of success during its 4-year production run, and, to this day, if someone spots a Pulsar NX and knows what he is looking at, you can expect them to ask the same question: where's the shooting brake canopy? Number 7. 1990 BMW Z1. BMW is responsible for some of the most beautiful cars you'll ever see. The BMW M1 is a good example of German design and engineering done right. That said, BMW is also responsible for some oddities, and no model best exemplifies than the dear old Z1. It didn't come with the traditional BMW look of its time. The kidney grille was too small, to the point that it looked like a rat's nose. It featured peculiar headlamps that were dropped far into the hood. And, yes, let's not forget about the vertically sliding doors that dropped into the door sills. BMW thought it stumbled into a game-changing innovation with those sliding doors, but the mere fact that BMW never attempted something of that design in any of its future models suggests otherwise. The Z1 had some things going for it, there are no doubts about that. It was one of the first Bimmers to use a multi-link rear suspension, and its engine, a 2.5-liter straight-six unit that produced 168 horsepower and 164 pound-feet of torque, provided enough juice to make the Z1 a punchy sports car. But, for better or worse, it'll always be remembered for those doors. Number 6. 1986 Lamborghini LM002. Long before the Urus gave us a taste of what a super SUV from Lamborghini was capable of, the Italian automaker created this monstrosity. It's called the LM002, and it's an off-road truck that Lamborghini initially built for military use. Eventually, production models were built during the model's 7-year run from 1986 to 1993. As strange as it was for Lamborghini to produce a full-blown off-road truck, at a time when it was known for hand-built performance cars, the LM002 has somehow become a unicorn Lambo in its own right. It's a sought-after model among Lamborghini collectors, and with the arrival of the Urus, it has, in its own way, become the new SUV's spirit animal. Still, the LM002 was, and still is, one of the most bizarre creations you'll ever see from a performance car brand. Number 5. 1980 Subaru BRAT. The name says it all, doesn't it? This is the Subaru BRAT. It's a light-duty, four-wheel drive coupe utility vehicle, or ute, as they're called in Australia and New Zealand. Never mind that utes are inherently weird to look at, by having tonneaus behind the passenger compartments. The BRAT takes the weirdness to another level with its name. The model itself isn't particularly exciting to look at, and it never came with an engine that was bigger than 1.8-liter four-cylinder unit. Remarkably, the BRAT has become a popular collector piece among car enthusiasts, who enjoy the vehicular oddity, or two, in their garages. The Subaru BRAT certainly counts as an oddity, in every description imaginable. Number 4, 2013 Mercedes-Benz AMG G 6x6. Just like BMW, Mercedes has been responsible for some of the most incredible-looking vehicles in the history of the car industry. On the opposite end of that spectrum, sits the weird and bizarre creations from Mercedes. They, too, come in all shapes and sizes, including this moving monolith. The AMG G 6x6 is powered by a 5.5-liter twin-turbo V8 engine that produces 536 horsepower and 561 pound-feet of torque. It measures 231.3 inches long and it has 6 wheels. All that said, the G 6x6 can still sprint from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 7.8 seconds, making it one of the scariest production vehicles on the road. Mercedes launched the AMG G 6x6 in 2013, and only a few models are out in the market, largely because the German automaker decided to cut production to maintain its exclusivity. This monstrous vehicle of mayhem is, without question, one of the craziest models ever built.
Subscribe now.
Number 3, 1930 Stout Scarab. It certainly looked the part of one, and by that, I mean an actual scarab, a species of beetle that can be found just about anywhere in the world. It's unclear why William Stout, the man behind the Stout Motor Company, was so fascinated about scarabs, that he built a minivan that's shaped like one and even used the beetle's name on his creation. By way of its age, the Scarab is now a huge collector's piece. It wasn't the most functional vehicle of its time, rear visibility was next to none, but in many ways, the weirdness of its design helped contribute to its lasting legacy. No one will remember that the Scarab was once thought of as an ugly vehicle. These days, it's called a fine example of Art Deco design. It's a fitting turnaround for one of the pioneers of the minivan segment. Number 2, Fiat Multipla. We've seen a lot of automakers experiment with headlamp setups in the past, to varying degrees of success. Some, like BMW with the M1's pop-up lights, pull it off spectacularly. Others, like Nissan with the Juke crossover, aren't as visually stimulating. Then there's Fiat, which built the Multipla, with the idea that perhaps 2 headlamps aren't enough to cast a clear light on the road. Yes, the Multipla's windshield is elevated. How's that for an oddity, too? Over the years, the Multipla has bagged plenty of design awards, for all the wrong reasons. It's been named the ugliest car in the world so many times, that it's become a badge of honor for the beleaguered MPV. You probably won't find a lot of Multiplas on the road these days because of that. Can't say we can blame those who actually still own one. Number 1, 1950 BMW Isetta 300. Other than all those disclaimers, the BMW Isetta 300 is a normal car. Technically, the Isetta 300 is classified as a microcar, and despite its weirdness, the Isetta 300 was actually a hot-ticket vehicle in the 1950s, earning the status as the top-selling single-cylinder car in the world with over 161,000 units sold. The Isetta was lost to the history pages, until it was featured in several publications, television programs, and movies in the last 2 decades. The microcar's comeback to automotive consciousness has turned it into an in-demand classic that underscores its status as one of the most unique models BMW has ever built. Thank you for watching. If you like this type of content, please leave a like, comment and subscribe to make the algorithm god happy.